Today I'm giving you guys my Week 12 power rankings. Let's go ahead and get started off with the Cincinnati Bengals. It feels like I say the same thing about them every single week. Their offense is good most of the time, not this past Sunday though, but it's their defense that is so bad. It's actually holding them back so much from actually being a decent team. Still though, with that offense and all the offensive weapons they have, I don't think they're a terrible one, so I'm going to go ahead and put them in C. Next is going to be the New England Patriots. Obviously, they're having a great year with Drake May and Mike Vrabel's first season as the head coach in New England. The only reason I've been holding them back on these tier lists is because they weren't really playing anybody. I mean, even this past week, they beat the New York Jets. Obviously, they're going to beat them. The more I see in Drake May, the more I see in Mike Vrabel and just their connection, I do think that they're still going to be a good team. Even when they do go up against good teams like the Bills and the Buccaneers, they actually do show up in those games too. So I'm not there about them being a Super Bowl team yet, but just close to it. I'm putting them in A. New Orleans Saints were on a bye week this past week, but the week before that, they beat my Carolina Panthers, sadly. I think Tyler Shaw has shown enough for them to actually give him a chance to be quarterback one. I still don't think this team is good outside of that, so I'm going to put them in D still, but they are looking a lot better than they were at the beginning of the season. We have the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm very up and down about them because at the beginning of the season, they were looking amazing, but the defense was struggling a little bit. Then they went on a little bit of a downslope and let the Baltimore Ravens kind of catch up with them in the division, but then just got a huge win versus the Bengals. I'm going to put them in B. I don't think they're amazing. Like, I don't think they're going to go to the AFC Championship game or anything like that, but they're not awful neither. They'll make a run for the playoffs. 49ers are up next, and Brock Purdy, have yourself a day. This was his first game of the season, I'm pretty sure. He threw 19 for 26, 200 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Him combined with Christian McCaffrey. Honestly think this 49ers team can be one of the best in the NFC. Even with all their injuries, I still am going to put them in B because I want them to beat like better opponents than the Arizona Cardinals. We had the Cardinals, and even though the offense is looking a lot better with Jacoby Brissett in the offense instead of Kyler Murray, they're still not winning games. By the way, if you guys didn't know, Jacoby Brissett set a brand new NFL record of most completions in a single game, which is actually crazy. I don't think they're like a bottom feeder team. Still don't think they're a great one though, so I am putting them in C. We have the Atlanta Falcons, which my Carolina Panthers looked amazing against them this week. Bryce Young almost threw for 500 yards, and we ended up getting the sweep. I'll talk about my team later on. Let's focus on the Falcons right now. Prayers up to Michael Penix because I think he's going to be out for the rest of the year, but I really don't think he's the quarterback for that team going forward. I have Drake London and Bijan Robinson. There is no way that your offense shouldn't find success. Also, they have one of the best defenses as well, but they just don't find success. So I'm kind of with all the other Atlanta Falcons fans at this point. They need to fire Raheem Morris and just start from the bottom, building on Bijan Robinson and Drake London. They'd have them in B this whole entire year, but honestly, they lost, what, 5 in a row now? I think it's time to drop them down in C. The Baltimore Ravens didn't get started off amazingly this year, but ever since Lamar Jackson came back from the injury, they have been looking amazing. I do think we have to take into account that their 4 wins was against the Browns, Vikings, Dolphins, and then the Bears. I really want them to play a good team before I go and say they're all the way back. I'm not going to put them in that Super Bowl category, but I am still going to put them in A, probably the very bottom of it though. Next is going to be the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen turned to Superman once again, having a total of 6 touchdowns versus the Buccaneers. So obviously, with him performing like he is, they have a chance in any game, but with that defense, especially the Russian defense, I don't think they're going to make it far in the playoffs. You honestly can't look at the Bills team in all and tell me this is a team that's going to go on a D playoff run. I do think they're a good team, don't think they're a great team though, so I'm going to put them in A. Next up is my Carolina Panthers. I told you guys they slept on the Saints last week, and they finally lock in and say, hey, we need to prepare like we're playing against the top teams every week. I really do feel like they did that this week against the Atlanta Falcons. You can now realize that you can't just run the ball and play defense in this day and age in the NFL. You have to ask your quarterback to do stuff, and now that they turn the reins loose, I really think we're getting the best of Bryce Young right now. Hopefully they'll have that same game plan going forward, and I really think we can compete for the division. Really want to put them in B, but at the same time, I'm a little bit of a superstitial person, and last time I put them in B, they lost to the Saints, so I'm going to put them in C at the very top of it this time. We have the Chicago Bears. This past week versus the Minnesota Vikings, I really thought they should have put more points, but at the same time, they battled and got a close to tough win, and honestly, that's what they've been doing the whole entire season pretty much. I mean, if you look at their record, they've only lost 3 games, and 2 of those were at the beginning of the season. Ben Johnson is doing exactly what everybody thought that he was going to do to this team, and he has turned them around tremendously. I think they're a very solid team that probably will win the NFC North. I'm going to put them in the very top of B right now. I think we all know where I'm putting the Cleveland Browns. They're going to go in D. Everybody was asking for Shedeur Sanders, and he finally got a chance to start this weekend, but he looked god awful. I know he didn't get barely any rest for the first team, but there's no way you should look that bad still if you're an NFL type player. I am kind of interested to see what he looks like. If he has a full week to prepare as a quarterback one and actually starts next week. We have the Dallas Cowboys. They played in Monday Night Football against the Las Vegas Raiders, and you can tell that they were really playing for Marshawn Kneeland, and prayers up to him and his family as well. RIP. That story is so sad, and he was gone obviously way too soon. All knew this offense could be great with George Pickens, and he looked amazing by the way. CeeDee Lamb, Javonte Williams, and even Dak Prescott, but the defense was kind of lacking, and that was their downfall. Now that they made a couple of trades, they are looking a lot better. I don't know if they're going to be amazing just yet though, because they were playing against the Raiders. Do think they're a lot better team. I don't know if they'll compete in the NFC because, I mean, they have a lot of way to go. I am going to put them in B, though, probably right under the 49ers. Then we have the Denver Broncos. Everybody was hyping this team up, saying that they were going to win the AFC West and maybe even have a chance to go into the AFC Championship game. To be honest, I wasn't buying into them just yet because I thought when it came to a big-time game versus the Kansas City Chiefs where they need to win, I thought Bo Nix was going to choke. Even though he didn't look amazing, they still got the win. So I'm buying into this team more than I ever had before. I really do wish that Bo Nix would just look a little bit better. And honestly, I think this team could go all the way to the AFC Championship game. I am going to put them in A right under New England Patriots. I do think they'll win this division. I don't know how far they go in the playoffs, though. We have the Detroit Lions, and I'm very up and down about this team. Like, yes, they look really bad versus the Philadelphia Eagles, but I think the Eagles are one of the best teams in the NFL right now. And that defense was just swarming around, but at the same time, Jared Goff and just that offense hasn't been having that same special spice. I do think they're still a good team, but I'm not putting them in the S category because that special sauce has been missing, probably Ben Johnson. But I am still going to put them in A because I do think they have a chance to figure it all out right behind the New England Patriots. Tennessee Titans were in a close game versus the Houston Texans. I honestly almost beat them, but I still think they're one of the worst teams. Going to put them in D. Next, we have the Green Bay Packers. Like we all know, the defense is like one of the best in the NFL, and they could take them all the way to the Super Bowl as long as Jordan Love figures it out. I don't think he really is right now. I'm going to put him in B right above the Cowboys. The Houston Texans just played their second game without CJ Stroud. Now, I'm going to be honest, the offense has been looking even better. I'm not saying they should start Davis Mills yet, but I'm just pointing out the fact. They have a really tough matchup this week against the Buffalo Bills. They've already ruled CJ Stroud out, so if he does win this game, I'm probably going to hop on that bandwagon. Though, to be honest, I don't think they're an amazing team, but I do think they're going to make a little bit of run that final wild card spot, so I'm going to put them in B, probably the last spot in it. The Indianapolis Colts have been looking amazing. I really do think Jonathan Taylor should win MVP, even though he's probably not because he's a running back, which is absolutely stupid. Anyways, they're a really good team. The defense is looking amazing. Daniel Jones is as well. I do have one small question. That is, how will Daniel Jones do in the playoffs? Because we've only seen him in the playoffs, once his entire career, and he did not look good in there. So is he going to choke? I don't really know. For that reason alone, I'm not going to put him in S or A. I'm going to put him in the top of B. The Jacksonville Jaguars really surprised me this weekend in a very good way. They beat the LA Chargers, and not only did they beat them, they absolutely dominated them the whole entire game. I say this every single week, but only because it's true. When I was coming into the season, the Jacksonville Jaguars are one of my dark horse teams to make the playoffs. And sometimes, like this past week, they do look like it, but then other weekends, they look like one of the bottom teams in the NFL, like they just need to rebuild. I think I'm just going to put them in B in the very bottom of it. But if they go on to run these next few games like they did this past weekend, I do think I'll put them a lot higher. We have the Kansas City Chiefs. Even though the Chiefs did not look good at the beginning of the season, I feel like everybody, including me, is just waiting for them to turn it around because they have Patrick Mahomes, they have Andy Reid, and they've been good in a dynasty for so long. They have to turn it around soon, right? I hate to tell you guys, but the season is running out very quickly, and they're still not even in the playoffs right now. I hate to do this, and honestly, this doesn't even look right, but I'm going to have to put the Kansas City Chiefs in B behind the Indianapolis Colts. Just as soon as I do this, they'll start going on a run and actually get in the playoffs somehow and go on a run to the Super Bowl once again. The LA Rams are on next, and they just had a big time game against the Seattle Seahawks, and they won that big time game as well, so they're in the lead of the NFC West right now. I've been saying a lot of my videos, probably go back and see it a majority of times. I still did think that Matthew Stafford was a top 10 quarterback in the NFL for a few years now. Now people are finally starting to look his way because he's putting up a lot of good stats. I've been on this wagon for a very long time. I really do think they're one of the dark horse teams that can go all the way to the Super Bowl. I feel like that pretty much every single year since they won the Super Bowl last time, so I'm putting them in that A category right above the Bills. What do I have to say about the Chargers? They're just going to be the Chargers. They're good at the beginning of the season, but somehow find a way to fall apart. And I still was believing in this team until this past Sunday when they got absolutely blown out by the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't really know what's wrong with this team besides for the offensive line because that is terrible. I actually know what that might be their problem. Obviously, you can't have much success in the NFL without a good offensive line. I'm going to put them in B, probably right under the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, Dolphins are up next, and even though everybody was calling for a Mike McDaniel's job, I really do think we should give him a lot of credit because I think it takes a real good coach to band a group of men together after what they've been through the first 7 weeks of the season. They're actually looking like a good team now, beating some good teams as well, like the Bills and Falcons, and then just got a very tough win versus the Commanders this past week. They're now 3-1 in their last 4 games. Not saying Mike McDaniel should be fired at the end of the season, but I'm just saying he is doing a really good job of banding this team together when they look like one of the worst teams in the NFL. I'm going to put them in the B category, right above the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't think they're a threatening team in the NFL, but no team should look at this team and be like, this is an easy win. The Minnesota Vikings, honestly, I feel so bad for Vikings fans. I've learned now, when you have a quarterback that is doing as good as Sam Darnold is, you should not get rid of them in no shape or way. I don't care if you have a rookie quarterback that you really do trust in. If you have an actually good quarterback that you've seen play good football, you should not get rid of him no matter what. With saying that, I still do think JJ McCarthy can prove and turn into a really good quarterback in the NFL. It is still pretty much his rookie season, but he's just not looking good right now. I really don't think they have a chance to even compete in that division or even a wild card spot, so I'm going to put them in C under my Carolina Panthers. Next, we have the New York Giants, and honestly, with Jackson Dart, they actually look like a team that can win any game, but they did just fire their head coach, Adebo, Malik Neighbors, and Jackson Dart got hurt as well. So I really don't think they're going to be a competitive team for the rest of this year, but moving forward, as long as their team stays healthy and they actually hire a good head coach, I do think they're on the right trajectory, but I just don't think they're going to be a competitive team this year, so I'm going to put them in the very bottom of C. And by the way, how good is it to see Jameis Winston play football again? The Jets are up next, and even though they lost this past week to the New England Patriots, they were kind of looking good, beating the Bengals and Browns the 2 weeks before that. Now that they officially benched their quarterback one in Justin Fields and Tyrod Taylor is going to be the starter moving forward, I just think they're still one of the worst teams. I'm going to put them in D, right above the Cleveland Browns. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you guys the Las Vegas Raiders are in the same boat. They're going right above the New York Jets. I told you guys that signing Geno Smith was not the right move. I don't understand like what in the heck they thought they were doing. Geno Smith had one good season in Seattle. His whole entire career has been going down ever since then. He's getting old as well. Why, when you were trying to turn a franchise around, are you going to sign him to the team? Speaking of Geno Smith and Pete Carroll, we have the Seattle Seahawks up next, and obviously they're looking like one of the best teams in the NFC right now, but there's only one reason I was holding them back, and it was because of this question. Can Sam Darnold perform in the big time games? We saw it last year. He was looking amazing in Minnesota Vikings. When it came down to the big time game, like the last week in Detroit, in the first round of the playoffs against the LA Rams, they looked awful. And honestly, we saw it this past week as well versus the LA Rams. It was a big time game, the lead of the division, and he ends up throwing 4 interceptions. So the answer to that question is not looking very good right now. I'm going to put him very high because if he can turn around, I think this team could go far in the playoffs, but I'm going to put him at the very top of B for right now. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and even though the Buccaneers aren't looking amazing like they were at the beginning of the season, Baker Mayfield doesn't really look like an MVP type candidate anymore. I still do think this is a pretty good team that will battle it out for the division and probably will win the NFC South. I don't know. My Panthers might have something to say about that. I'm going to put them right behind the Bears and B. Next, we have the Philadelphia Eagles, and honestly, this is the only team that I'm going to put in F this year. I know a lot of people might not like that, but this is why. I feel like the Eagles can do it all. Their defense can swarm around and stop one of the best offenses in the NFL like we've seen this past week versus the Lions. They can run the ball with Saquon Barkley, even though he's not looking as amazing as he was last year. And even when teams are stopping the run, I know a lot of people don't like Jalen Hurts because he doesn't throw the ball unless he has to. But when he has to throw the ball, he does look very good at doing it. I think they're the best team in the NFC. I think they're best team in the division. And I do think they'll go back to the Super Bowl unless the Rams have something to say about it. I know they say in last, but definitely not least. But it's very close to being the least. We have the Washington Commanders. I've been keeping them out of that D category for a while now, but I think it's time to put them in that. I'm going to put them right behind the New Orleans Saints. That is my Week 12 power rankings, everybody. Let me know what teams I have way too high and what teams I have way too low. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'll check you guys out next time. Peace.